Jerry Jones has officially lost it. The Dallas Cowboys fans knew what was wrong with this team. Jerry knew what was wrong with this team, yet he still tries to gaslight the fan base every single day, trying to convince them that this is the right group that is going to win the first Cowboys Super Bowl since 1996, and he's gone rogue. He's gone crazy. Let's break it down on this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're going to be talking about some of the post-game comments that Jerry Jones made following the worst loss in his tenure as owner, GM, president of the Dallas Cowboys. They lost by 38 points to the Detroit Lions, who came into AT&T Stadium, came into Jerry's world, stomped them out, laughed while they were doing it, and now sit at 4-1. Whereas the Cowboys, coming off a high, the highest of highs in Pittsburgh, could not answer the bell at AT&T Stadium. But before we get into the video, I want to let you know that around 85% of you watching these are not subscribed. So go ahead, hit that sub button. I'm not going to beg for followers after a devastating loss like we just witnessed just a couple of days ago. But I had to give myself a breather yesterday because I could not come to terms with what we just saw, and I knew that they would be tough against Detroit. I was trying to be optimistic. I figured that it would be a shootout. I thought that the Cowboys would be able to move the ball, and they weren't even able to do that. So let's take a look at some of the comments here post-game from Jerry Jones, the GM, after the game. Do you believe your roster has the talent to be one of those top teams as it's assembled right now? Jerry says, I do. Then the follow-up, why? I just do. And that is a premium example of him just trying to gaslight this fan base. And Jerry Jones knew sending Mike McCarthy into a contract year would create chaos after each and every loss, with speculation coming about a firing and or Mike's future. 100% deliberately designed dysfunction and toxicity. Hard for anyone to thrive in it. Now, Mike McCarthy is partly to blame here as well, but Jerry has his fingerprints all over this roster. And the reason why they were so short-handed yesterday was not only because of injuries, but it's because of the lack of moves that were made to address the depth that was non-existent on that front line. The Lions were just able to run all over them, and there was nothing that they could do about it. Jared Goff had 5 to 7 seconds to throw the ball in the pocket. It was laughable. It was embarrassing how bad the Cowboys were, and I mentioned it in the post-game stream. A lot of players were making business decisions. I thought that the team just quit. At halftime, this team quit. They packed it in. Trevon Diggs stopped trying. A lot of the guys that are looked at to be leaders on the team packed it in. CeeDee Lamb had a great start to the game. One-handed catch. They're targeting him early. They go down 14-3, and it's curtains for him. We don't hear of him the rest of the day. He's pouting on the sideline, throwing fits. I understand the frustration, but you are supposed to be a leader on this football team, and you're not acting like one right now. But I'm not just going to single out CeeDee Lamb. Everyone has to be better. Everyone has to show more of an effort, and it's just not good enough. And this was Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones' son. If he sees any significant coaching or personnel changes during the bye week, no, I don't. We got the right kind of guys on the coaching staff. I think we have the right kind of players. Feel like we've got the right group here. I don't necessarily know that raising hell is the answer. It couldn't hurt. It couldn't be worse than what we just witnessed on Sunday. I'll tell you that much. And Jerry Jones on the experience of suffering the worst home loss in his 35 years as Cowboys owner on his 82nd birthday. Happy belated birthday, Jerry Jones. I think it was just, it was the just feeling of the team having fun at our expense. And Detroit having fun at our expense. I think that's what really stood out to me as well. They're trying to get Penei Sewell the ball, and he's trying to score touchdowns, diving for the pylon when they're up by 30 points. And it's no fault to the Lions, by the way. They earned the right to play that way. They earned the right to come into AT&T Stadium and embarrass the Dallas Cowboys because they were doing nothing about it. If I was on the Dallas sideline in a game like that, I'm getting thrown out. I'm getting kicked out. I'm hitting somebody. I'm getting a flag. I'm getting unnecessary roughness. I'm doing whatever I have to do to send the message to the other team that this is not okay. You're not going to roll into our stadium, beat our ass, and then laugh about it. You're not going to try to get your 340-pound offensive lineman a touchdown on a flea flicker, stuff like that. It was just a pathetic effort by the Dallas Cowboys, and the fact that they allowed that stuff to happen on their home turf, they should be ashamed of themselves. And some hard decisions need to be made. And the last time a coach was fired after a really bad loss was after a 33-point loss to Philly in 2001. So if you look at those last 4 home games, just pitiful efforts, back to back to back to back. Green Bay 48-32 in the playoff game. It felt like a much larger gap than that. 44-19 against New Orleans, who haven't won a game since, by the way. The Baltimore Ravens game, a much more flattering scoreline than it actually was. That game was over. It was 28-6. Dallas made a comeback effort. At least they didn't quit in that one. And then to lose 47-9 against Detroit on your home field. It's baffling. It's crazy. What are you working on all week? You know that they're going to try to run the football. They have 2 of the best running backs in the league. They have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery in the backfield, and they have 2 very dynamic wide receivers. You know what they're going to try to do. I understand that you're shorthanded, but this is not a personnel thing. This is an effort thing. And I think that is a trickle down from the owner's suite to the coaching staff and all the way down to the players that are on the field as well. And this was Dak Prescott. I wanted to get into this just briefly here before we wrapped up. And a key move the year that the Cowboys were 3-5 but ended up 10-6 and reached the divisional round of the playoffs. They got Amari Cooper that season. And they're 2 different teams. That's what Dak had to say about that. Referencing that team, I was just saying we were 3-5 before we got rolling. Don't plan on being 3-5 with this group. However, that's up to the front office. You know what I mean. I've got a lot of confidence in these guys. We've got in the locker room young guys coming on. You see Jalen Tolbert. We'll get Brandon Cooks back healthy. Leave it up to those guys. My job is to make sure that I continue to push the locker room, make sure they understand their role and how to be better in their role. Well, Dak, why don't you start by being better yourself? And I'm a Dak apologist. I love the guy, but he hasn't been good enough. So I understand the "we got to be better" mantra, and we all got to rally together and be this unit. Dak, it all starts with you, man. You're the leader of this football team. And if Mike McCarthy is going to look clueless on the sideline, you need to step up. If Jerry Jones is not going to make the moves necessary after just paying you and CeeDee Lamb, you got to step up. You got to make those winning plays. You got to go out there and single-handedly win football games for the Dallas Cowboys. And that may not be what you do. And that may not be possible, considering your level of talent. But you're one of the best players in the league. You got to go out there and show it. And Dak has not been playing like one of the best players in the league. You can say whatever you want about him. He is an elite quarterback. He has shown the ability to be that ever since he came into the league. So go out there and do it. Go out there and prove it. Show that you're a top dog. Be the top dog in this team. And then maybe they'll all rally behind you, because I don't know if they've quit on Mike McCarthy or not. But the locker room was buzzing after a Pittsburgh Steelers victory, after a win against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I should say. And then you follow that up with that embarrassing loss at home a week later. It's just not good enough, man. It's not good enough. Things have to change. Jerry doesn't seem to want to change them, so they're going to have to change internally. Whether that's Mike McCarthy changing up his play calling, whether that's Mike Zimmer getting more out of his defensive players, but something has to change, because the season isn't over yet. It's 3-3. You got to get into the playoffs and see what happens there, but at this rate, they're in danger of missing the playoffs. They really are. So that'll wrap it up for this episode of Cowboys Digest. Guys, thanks so much for making it this far. I really appreciate all the support that we've gotten. I'm bummed out about this Cowboys loss. It's going to take a while to get over it, especially with a bye week this week. Going to have no football to talk about, so no Cowboys football, at least. And maybe that's a blessing. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise. But that'll wrap it up for this episode. Again, guys, make sure to hit that sub button, because a large majority of you watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So go ahead, hit that. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a ton. Close to my goal of 2,000 subscribers, so it'd mean the world if you could help get me there. But thanks again, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Go Cowboys.